All right, everyone. Jimmy Carter finally died. He was 100 years old. Yes, one of the very few people who hit centenarian status, by the way. Link in the description, archived, of course. I happen to agree with the basic summation. Jimmy Carter is both overrated and underrated at the same time. Overrated in the sense of his post-presidential career, actually, generally speaking. Underrated in some respects politically and in the post-presidential career. Let me sort of parse these out. By the way, look up Jonestown and then look up the connection to the Carter family. There was a reason for that particular massacre. So go to Razorfist's Twitter or his YouTube channel, and I'm sure that he'll be able to fill you in. He can do that better than I can with regards to that bit of history. He was involved with Jonestown, which was a massacre, and like 1,000 people died, or some insane number like that. One of the largest massacres in history by a fucking commie that was attached to the Carter family explicitly. So that's pretty much a blot on his career. Carter also had another problem. When he was in office, some of the things that he's blamed for were not directly his fault. For example, the oil shocks. While that was a delinquency on the diplomacy of the United States' behalf by the Carter administration, he was not centrally responsible for the actual oil shocks themselves. If you look at the hostage crisis, that was the result of Jimmy Carter's administration. That was one of the big things. That was one of the reasons why Ronald Reagan was elected after Jimmy Carter leaves. We got one of our best modern presidents as a result of Jimmy Carter fucking up. He couldn't conduct diplomacy. His problem extended to Congress, and most people don't know this. Jimmy Carter, by all accounts, was a very combative, imperialistic, actually, person when you regard him in negotiations with Congress, including in his own party. This was one of his biggest problems. You can't get things done if you're not capable of negotiating. If you simply go in with both guns drawn and you say, hey, this is my way or the highway, sometimes you're going to be taking the highway. That being said, there are redeeming qualities to Jimmy Carter. He reigned over a poor economy and very poor diplomacy, sort of like a proto-Joe Biden in that respect. But once he got out of the presidency, other than the liberal activism side of things, which, I mean, it miffs me because I'm not a liberal, he was building houses for the poor, and he actually participated. He didn't just fund it and add his name to the brand and say, go build a house. He would literally be out there, sorting plywood and seemed to enjoy it. He also did one other thing, which is massively and spectacularly important and exceptionally successful. He almost eradicated guinea worms before dying. Now, a guinea worm is a life form. It's a parasite. And in infected water, if a guinea worm decides to burrow into your foot, you get bleeding ulcers in your foot. They turn gelatinous. And they hurt a great deal. And the idea behind the guinea worm's evolution is that you're in terrible pain unless you immerse your feet in water. And so the guinea worm can slide out of the ulceration with its brood, and then the life cycle, is completed, and it continues, and then it infects something else. Guinea worms were prevalent in a large number of third world nations a few decades ago. They're not so prevalent now. In fact, the main species, I think, has been basically eradicated. It's pretty much extinct. I think there's one nation, I think it's Nigeria, I can't remember. There's one nation left, or two nations, where it actually still exists. There might be a side species that's sporadically found in a couple of other countries, but it doesn't seem to really infect humans. We're not 100% sure. He was successful at this. Through his efforts, the number of nations that have any guinea worms and haven't been completely eradicated, that is, the species is effectively extinct, went from, I believe, a double-digit number. I believe it was 18 originally, and now it's 2. So we have to give him credit where credit is due. And also, Carter generally kept quiet on politics. So unlike Obama or certain other presidents, Reagan even had this tendency, he didn't really weigh in on politics post-presidency. He sort of just disappeared. He was too busy doing Habitat for Humanity, building people houses, building affordable housing, and killing off the guinea worms. An extinction that, by the way, the liberals are normally like, oh my god, the species is going to go extinct. Well, yeah, you like the rhinos because they're cute and stuff like that. I don't think that you like the guinea worms so much. I would notice that he was a liberal president. So as far as his presidency, he was like a 2 out of 10, maybe. As far as his post-presidency, though, generally speaking, one of the more palatable modern presidents, actually. And I believe he's the longest-lived president in U.S. history, if I remember correctly. I don't think any of the others made it to centenarian status, actually. So that's fairly interesting. I think he did peanut farming before his presidency. Or was that his brother? I'm not sure if that's canonical. Interesting dude, though. So we remember Jimmy Carter. Apparently on January 9th, I believe, there's going to be a state funeral. So I guess they'll be refrigerating him until then. That'll be interesting. That's about all. Peace out.